Well, Charles, today is the day. You've been patient, and we're going to start today and get rolling on this. It should be straightforward. Obviously, the watch is a runner, so we're going to need servicing and cleaning in a case rebuild and that stuff, but I'd be real surprised if we need anything beyond that. 7549 7010. Here we go. Always interesting to see all these servicing marks. It's rare for me to see that many servicing marks, and there's a ton in there. Can't really see them because of the way the light is, but anyway, there's the movement, chugging along, doing stuff. One thing it's good to see is that your support washer is still in place. We're still here. This goes underneath the battery strap on this side. It's a pretty critical element because the battery strap only happens in 754 8s and 7549s, but this movement was used on a whole range of them, and the dress watch ones don't have the battery strap and they don't need this support piece there, but without that you can sort of crunch stuff. So these are very hard to find, so it's good that you have yours. That's good. No water got in and the watch was taken care of. Okay, let's move. Always something good to see. It's nice to be able to show things that are right instead of damaged. This is the underside of your circuit. What's nice about seeing this is, again, how clean it is. Because these watches, being that they're divers and they were heavily worked, they tended to have battery leaks. And then you get this white acid crystals everywhere, and they tend to really move into those. They'll sort of grow inside the CMOS, which is this right here. So you've got the crystal is here. That's the vibrating crystal that the Quartz times with. This is the CMOS. This is the variable timer. And the acid will get in and it gets into all this stuff and then it kills the circuit. Sometimes I can bring it back, but often I can't. But this one's so nice and clean. What's nice about this, here's your original coil, and this is the correct coil for the 7549s. The only difference between 7549 coil and the other ones that are a slightly different part number is the 7549 one, the coil is wrapped in plastic because these had a deeper depth rating and were going to be exposed to more water pressure. So, I mean, functionally they're identical, but when you open one of these and you see the plastic wrapped coil, you know that you've got a pretty good chance of things being okay. That's always a nice thing. Okay, move on. Okay, so I mean, nothing bad, but it's a little, we've hit our first challenge, and this is going to be a cosmetic thing. You can see, obviously, that we've got peppering on the dial loom, which you knew about, and that's not really going to clean up because this goes into it. We also have a lot of oil contamination. Could be silicone from the grease for the crystal seal, which really isn't supposed to be greased except in a very specific way. So I'll clean that up, but sometimes that has sort of a longer term effect on the loom. It can turn it sort of a blackish gray, but I'll clean it up as best as I can. It just means I'm going to have to get a little more aggressive on cleaning. Secondly, of course, you have a black day wheel, which is real interesting. I can't. Oh, right. So we need to talk about if you want me to put this back to a white day wheel, because this whole thing has been converted from 7549 to 7548 because you had elected to keep this handset. I mean, I do have, I could in theory return this to stock. Because like there's an original handset for 7549 right there. But we would have to do some, basically I'd have to swap out everything underneath the calendar. We'd have to the hour wheel, cannon pinion, hands, a bunch of other stuff underneath here would have to be changed. But I believe that you elected, I'll have to double check I'll check this when the stuff is going through the cleaner to leave this as is. Which we certainly can do. But if you wanted to reverse it, I mean, there's an original day wheel for 7549. Talk about a rare part. And then of course I have the handset. There they are. And I've got other things as well in order to do this. But I'm going to double check, but I believe you elected to stay with it as it was. I'm just going through and looking at what the things are that I'm finding, and something I noticed all of a sudden is that you're missing your magnetic shield. Here's one. This is what this is. And this part goes right here in those two little holes. So we're going to have at least one replacement part because your magnetic shield was just missing. I don't know. That's about it going forward. So here's a little fun tidbit I always like to talk about because, I don't know, it's just one of those things. The 7549, 7548, 7546, 7545, this movement was based on the 6309 movement. I say that a lot, but people don't maybe really sort of, I don't know, grasp that idea. But like this is albeit pretty, this is a really warm 6309, but that is a 6309. It's a mechanical movement. This one is out of my parts drawer, so it's pretty rough. But anyway, there it is. You got your winding bridge and mainspring and all that other kind of stuff. But on the front end, you'll notice, you look at them, they're the same. They even use the same calendar plate. You'll notice it has a hole right there for the non-existent Diashock setting. But all the rest of the parts are the same. It's why you can switch 6309 and 7548s back and forth. All the parts are identical. It's just, I think it's really interesting. Like, look, you have this port. It's got the port for the mainspring arbor, lower mainspring arbor, but of course there isn't one because that's a quartz movement. And Seiko, being what Seiko did, is they did some cost-saving stuff and they just used the same parts, one for the other. Anyway, I always thought that's neat. Okay, just sort of another FYI. I report this stuff because it's just tells us a little bit about the history of the watch. These crystals, they have a screw down ring that goes right here, and there's a shelf on the crystal. There's a notch right here, and what that notch is supposed to be for is to lock it down. But in order to make sure you don't crack the crystal, you're supposed to use a nylon supporting ring gasket right there, and yours is missing. I mean, it doesn't mean anything for the cost of the job. I was going to replace it anyway, but it's just interesting to see when one of those is just not there. So when the crystal got changed out, probably what happened is that the person who did the work didn't realize that there was a nylon ring there, and he just got rid of the whole crystal. So if for some reason you have the original crystal, the original crystal, you look on it, you might find that that nylon ring there. Okay. The same person who did the work, I'm looking at the crystal seal now, and you can see this stuff. That's because the crystal seal was not down correctly when he pushed the crystal down home and then screwed the ring down. These don't degrade. They're made of Viton, and they don't really oxidize. The only way that these crystal gaskets will die is if they're physically mistreated, and that's certainly what happened here. So that one's gone, and you can see, I mean, it was just pinched in weird places and kind of folded over the way it shouldn't have been, and you'll notice it's also covered in lubricant. Well, another one bites the dust. So here we have the fantastic Seiko QT99. This is the official quartz tester. It's a timing tester that Seiko produced when they first started making quartz watches in the 70s. Probably actually the 60s. They apparently still use these today. You can test anything with these. Mechanical step, which is this kind of an analog quartz, LED sweep, and that's for like a hybrid movement, I believe, and then there's just flat out LCD. But so what this is designed for pretty tight. This is tenths of a second. This is hundredths of a second. So you can dial this thing in real tight. These 7549s have extremely tight adjustment possibilities. So hang on just one second. Come on. Hang on for me. Wow. With these movements with the hooded piece because of the battery. So what these are variable. You can spin them 360 degrees and they go up and down and up and down and up and down as you turn. It doesn't take a whole lot So we adjust it one way and let's see what happens. And the gate on this is 10, which means it does 10 samples and then averages it out. See if we get any changed at all. Well, it went down slightly. It didn't really change a whole lot for us there. Let's try, let's move it a little bit more. A little bit more. Ooh, see, we got a nice little drop there. Now, we were at 7, now we're at 5. Let's try it again. It's thinking. I'm making too much noise, probably. $40. Okay. Drop it again. .26 seconds, quarter of a second per day. But you know, we can get it a lot tighter than that. Oop, 15. I'm probably gonna go negative because I just turned it a lot. Yep. Thought so. I'm probably going to go pretty seriously positive again. Negative 18. Let's see what happens. That's what's great about these early high-end Seiko quartz movements. I mean, later on, like the Arnie and stuff, they have a little bit of a trimmer, and it does some stuff. You can change it a little, but it's like 2 seconds per. But it's not really fine, and then later on you can't do anything. And like the 7C movements that came after this, you only get 2 adjustments. You cut one wire or cut a second wire, and that's the only adjustment you get, and it's permanent. These things you can adjust and adjust and adjust. You can get these to be ridiculously tight accuracies. There, -8 1/100ths of a second a day. That's pretty tight. But we're going to sit here and we'll think about how we're doing on there. Whoa, 3 1/100ths of a second per day. That's pretty accurate. Now, some people like to have their watches be slightly fast, so they're gaining time instead of losing time. And that's usually what I shoot for, 0 or a little better. Hang on. Come on. I just touched it just a little. Let's see if it makes any changes. Hey, 1 100th of a second per day. I think that's a pretty good place to be. 4 or 5 100ths of a second per day for an initial adjustment. That's good. Now we're actually going to do real world timing. I've got to check with the owner and go over some stuff and ask him some questions, and we'll see what he says about that. But so far so good. That's real tight. That's nice. Not a lot of variability. Smooth and steady. Okay.
And there we are. Good to go, man. There it is. We had, I don't know, usual parts. It's interesting to pull this stuff apart. This is the packet for that nylon seal. This is your rotating ring seal. It's like uncooked spaghetti. It just shatters. It's always nice to see old things like that. Your old crystal and day wheel and jacked up crystal seal are in there. But here it is. I love a watch with, I don't know, there's certain kinds of wear that work so well, and this is one of them. And this watch just looks great. It just looks great. It really does. Like, I love the insert with the wear like this when contrasted with this like nicely patinaed loom. I just think it's so awesome. As I said in our communication, I didn't try to polish up anything on this. You know, cleaning does a huge amount of good for a watch. You clean this watch up, you clean up any battle scarred watch like this, and it just looks so good, so much nicer and stronger. I mean, it looks really good. I'm happy with it. You can see there's the Kanji English day wheel that you were talking about that I had for you. It just, man, just cleaning stuff, it does just such an amazing amount of good. It's just a huge benefit for a watch. Beautifully clean. Everything is just the way it ought to be. Isn't that nice? I don't know. That's about it. Not much else to say. Super happy with this one. I'm very much looking forward to getting this back to you. And that is going to be just awesome. I'm very proud of the job. And I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you wear it in good health. Okay. Thank you much.